Advisory services offered through Blackridge Asset Management, a registered investment advisor. Securities are offered through Peak Brokerage Services, LLC. Blackridge Asset Management is a separate and independent entity from Peak Brokerage Services, LLC. Member FINRA SIPC. And now, Today with Denny, here's Denny Artachi.
Good morning. I am always so blessed that I wake up in South Florida. It's the best. You know what? I'm liking the rain because my grass was cut and fertilized. So both my front and backyard is love and life. I don't know
that's a good thing.
I'm telling you, man, this way I can spend less in watering my lawn. God, can you believe we're almost in September, dude?
Like a couple more days, and it's like, well, Christmas will be here in 121 days.
Well, football's going to be here, and that's important.
It's already started. Preseason's already underway.
But you can't, I don't know. Dan Marino said that he's really impressed how Tua is developing in his sophomore year. So this could be actually a really good year for the Dolphins, and wide receivers are back from injury. But, man, I got to tell you, Tampa Bay and Kansas City, those are the two teams that it's going to be tough to beat those guys.
It's going to be an interesting season this year.
I think so. Before we get going, I think we have my great friend Mike Lomas on. Mike, are you there?
I am, but I'm a little bit sick to my stomach. You guys talking about two great teams and not leaving out my Buffalo Bills. I mean, you guys are leaving out the greatest team in the NFL this year, and that's heartbreaking to me.
You know what? They better do good. All that money they just gave your quarterback, dude. I mean, this dude is loaded. I know. He's loaded now.
Seems like a lot, but actually, if you look at it, it's pretty contract friendly. I know that sounds scary.
Oh, really?
But,
why? How much did you get? Listen to this, Evan. How much did your quarterback just get guaranteed?
$150 million.
Oh my God, I'm leaving. See you later. I'm out of here.
For what, 3 years?
Denny, compare that to what we pay you as you're running your franchise. Peanuts, right? So,
I don't know. Listen, I also know, dude, that you've been crying a river since Como has left, right? I was concerned about you, that you were depressed that he's gone.
Yeah, well, I got to be honest with you. His backup plan, she isn't much better. So Kathy Hochul she's a dip, and she's a left-wing liberal. She's exactly what the party is all about, which is, hey, we used to care about border security. We used to care about the hard-working class people. Now we just care about illegal immigrants and free welfare. So she's not going to be any better up here, which is good for everybody down in South Florida. And I'm happy to say I do own property down in South Florida because she will continue to be your best real estate agent for sure. She will continue to drive your prices up. No doubt about it.
Listen, it's not good because it's August and it feels like it's February. The traffic is in. People are coming here still in August because of the weather, of course.
It's amazing what freedom will do, isn't it? I mean, you guys, I say this all the time, you're so blessed to have a governor with a brain in his head. I go back and forth. I get to see the tales of two states, and it is amazing how stupid these liberals are up here. I mean, they just continue to do the same dumb things with the same dumb results. And at some point you'd think, they'll get it, but they don't. They don't, right? But DeSantis does, and good for him. He's one of the few out there that are fighting for our freedoms. I continue to say, if it wasn't for guys like DeSantis, I think the whole country would be shut down. In the beginning, all these places were shut down. I was in Florida and they were kicking me off the beach, right? So it wasn't like, Florida was any better than New York. But what DeSantis did do is he looked at all the data. He realized that most of the deaths are lies. They didn't die of COVID. They died with COVID. He also looked and said, wait a minute, the masks aren't doing anything. Shutting businesses down aren't stopping COVID. So we can either have COVID with our businesses and our economy, or we can have COVID without our businesses and economy. And he started to open things back up. He doesn't do that. I really believe states like New York are still closed and hiding in closets for sure.
Well, here's the thing. There's a big battle right now with the mask mandates. I've been trying to get educators to come on the show because they're going back and forth. He wants the parents to decide that. But you have a lot of parents out there that if your child shows up without a mask, they are a baby killer and they need to be arrested.
Yeah, they're mentally ill. They're mentally ill. They really, truly are. They're mentally ill.
Well, why don't they move to New York instead of staying here in Florida?
I mean, look at, it's amazing because these are the same people typically that are my body, my choice.
Yeah.
So I have no problem in a state like New York aborting a baby in full term, right? But yet, if you show up without a mask, somehow you're a murderer. There is a 6 times the probability that your child will die of a drug overdose than they will of COVID. So what we really need to focus on is mental health with these kids, and stop the face diaper wearing, and stop the, look at it in Washington, they're talking about ankle bracing these kids,
really,
so they don't get within each other as they're playing sports. Think about that.
Why am I laughing?
Washington
That's not funny.
And I'm not. Did I say thinking about it? They're actually doing it. Washington Public School requires student athletes to wear ankle monitors to ensure social distancing. How mentally ill are you?
That's people with a lot of time on their hands. I don't know.
That's people with a sick illness. That's people with a sick illness.
But Mike, you know what it is? Look, you know that the media, we don't do it on this show, but fear is their biggest friend. All right. So technically, all right, you look at, I just saw that the COVID cases in Florida hit 26,000 yesterday. So I'm like, are there really that many new Delta variant cases? So here's my question. What is the death rate? Has it gone down with all these cases? Has it gone up? Evan, do you know? Is it
no? I don't know.
I know that it was 26,000 cases reported yesterday, which that's a whoa. That's but I'll tell you what, Mike. I was a guest performer last night at a place, and man, they were carrying on like nothing's going on.
Well, I mean, that's life, right? I mean, we've had the flu outbreaks for decades and decades and decades. And for those that say, oh, it's different than the flu, I don't know if it is. In the beginning, I will say this, because we have a huge clientele. So I think I can get a pretty good sampling of what's going on out there. And in the beginning, and I mean not this March, but the March before, because we're now, remember, 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and we're 2 years to flatten America. In the beginning, I saw some elderly clients that had a tough case of it, right? But we had frontline doctors on our radio show in New York talking about watch this thing mutate itself, because that's what it does. And sure enough, that's what it did, because within 3 months, we had no elderly clients that were in the hospital, but you still saw cases of it, right? And now places like Florida have immediate testing, so we can test. But here's the thing. There is no proof. In fact, there is more proof of hiding from it will hurt you than help you. Andrew Cuomo himself, the great leader of COVID, came out with a study months ago, and he was shocked. He said 76% of all COVID cases in New York were people that wore masks all the time and primarily stayed in their house.
Really?
So it doesn't take, my 9-year-old could figure out that that's not working, right? Either your immune systems are getting suppressed, and what often happens is, unless you don't eat, you bring COVID into your house. Maybe it's on a plastic bottle or something like that. And then you do what you sit right next to it, right? And you sit there for hours and hours and hours until you catch it. I think the masks, and we'll find out that the masks have spread more COVID than caused more COVID. We had a county executive up here in New York, and we videotaped this conference. It was funny because he went up to the podium with a face diaper on, and then he took his face diaper off and put it in his left hand, and he was holding it on the podium, right? And he not realizing it, his hand was going up and down. So he's sliding this face diaper up and down on the podium. Then he gets done. He puts that face diaper on. This is not allowed. I'll send you the video. And he walks away. And then the next guy comes up, the next speaker comes up with his face diaper on. He takes it off. He puts it in his left hand and proceeds to rub it up and down the podium. Not thinking, right? This is not thinking, rubbing it up and down the podium.
He really was doing that. He was on camera. And so the guy just kept going. He didn't care, apparently.
Yeah. So now here's effectively what they did, right? Let's just say the first guy has COVID.
Yeah.
He's got the face diaper on his face. He rubs it up all over because he's breathing this COVID into the mask. He rubs it all over the podium. And the next guy comes up, puts it in the same hand and rubs it up. And then he puts the face diaper on to make sure he really inhales the COVID. There is zero proof. There's study after study. New Zealand just came out with a study that says these kids are getting respiratory problems from sitting in school all day with face diapers.
Hey, whatever happened, Mike? What wasn't it? Was it Sweden or one of the Netherlands? Never closed anything down, right?
Sweden. Yep.
And they wound up with like
less.
Less cases. Yeah. Now, folks, don't listen to me saying that I'm telling you not to get a vaccine. Be careful. That's not what I'm saying at all. All Mike and I always talk about is my God, they keep changing the statistics, the goalpost. You want to talk about vaccine hesitancy? They think that conservatives did that. No, liberals said, well, if Trump comes up with a I'm not taking it. And and when they see that they keep changing, masks do work. No, they don't work. Bring it back. Hey, if you take a vaccine, you'll be fine. Oh, wait a minute. If you take if you get the vaccine, you may not be. They keep changing the goalposts, and I think that's what makes everyone.
Because the World Health Organization always looked at herd immunity as people that would be vaccinated plus people that got COVID. And somewhere along the line, it changed to only people that are vaccinated, right? So if I'm 100% healthy, I cannot, but not vaccinated, I cannot walk into a room. But yet, if you're sick and you're vaccinated, you seem to be just fine. There's something that smells really fishy about the way they've changed.
Hey, Mike,
right?
Can you, Kevin, can we just do a 1 minute break? I want to keep Mike on the phone. Mike, we're going to be back in a minute with my great friend, Mike Lomas, talking about how crazy this world is getting. All right, we are back with my good friend, Mike Lomas. Always a pleasure talking. So, yeah, Mike, the problem is they've kept changing the goalposts. So that's, of course, why people are hesitant to take a damn vaccine. I mean, who's safe anymore? So they're saying if you take the vaccine, you're still not safe. Is that what your take is right now? Did we lose Mike?
Look, here, by the way, the number one vaccinated country
we just got you back. I'm sorry, Mike. We just got you back. I missed everything. So anyway, that's yes. Okay. They keep changing the goalposts, so that's the problem. But go ahead and finish what you were saying that I didn't hear.
Well, the number one country in the world that's vaccinated is Israel. Okay. And the number one breakout right now of COVID is in Israel. So just food for thought there, right? I mean, and here's the thing: these people that are like, I'm going to put the vaccination down your throat. They act like there's no negative consequences to possibly taking the COVID. I can tell you, you and I have a very close friend, Glenn Wiggle. His mom almost died from the second shot. They called 911, raced her into the emergency room. She came home from the shot and went into all kinds of problems. We have a client whose son, his head swelled after the first shot. Now, I got to be honest with you. I've taken flu shots in the past. My head did not swell up.
Which shot did he take, Mike, that his head swelled up?
The Pfizer.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
So these
My wife had some.
Again, I'm not saying you don't take the shot, by the way, as you said, right? I'm not saying, but to be able to, I think everybody should have the choice, right? Like
I took a shot I was hesitant at first, but because these conspiracy theorists, Bill Gates trying to kill the world, and you're going to turn into.
I think they're nuts too, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
Right.
You got to follow science, but here's the thing: I never thought from HIPAA laws and other things that they're forcing people to take the vaccine. I know someone who works for Delta who says starting in October, if you don't take the vaccine, they're going to fine you $200 every paycheck. So a lot of companies are, you're not going to have much of a choice anymore to travel, to work at certain places. And I don't know. I don't know if that's constitutional. What do you think, Evan? You think if a company says, hey, we love you, Poppy, but if you don't get the shot, you can't work here?
I guess everybody's rules are different depending on the company. And I'll discuss something with you off air pertaining to what you just said, because I don't want to say anything on air.
Yeah, sure.
But
okay.
Definitely. So I can relate to that.
So we don't know. I don't know. That's a changing dynamic that's happening right now. And I believe that, you're not going to be able to travel or do a lot of things unless you do have the shot. But the evidence still sits that just because you get the vaccine doesn't mean you can't get COVID. And I think that
there's a big difference between a private company, right?
Yeah.
And I would say this too, and I would say this: us conservatives need to stick together. Where we fail is we always compromise, and the left never does, right? They're like, the left is always like, you're going to do this, and you're going to do it until I tell you to do it, and then you're going to do it again, right? And we're going to cry and whine, and we're going to burn cities down if you don't listen to us, right? And conservatives just go, okay, we'll negotiate, right? I would say this, like at the financial guys, we're a conservative organization. We're a conservative safe space. You don't need to be vaccinated here. It's not my business. I'm not going to ask you, and I'm going to leave you alone. And by the way, you don't need to wear a face diaper in my company, right? You never did. And if you don't like that, then you go down to the liberal organization down the street and put a bag in your face. I don't care, right? But more of us need to do that. And the problem is business owners don't step up, I think we should all learn from DeSantis. I mean, DeSantis is not backing down and he's the most popular Republican in the country, right? It's why? Because
he really
he's not
is.
backing down.
If he runs for president, we're going to lose a good governor. I mean,
yeah.
But there's a lot of people, who don't like him. But the way I look at it, he's a self-made man. He went to Yale. He graduated with honors. He went to Harvard, got his law degree. He is a decorated soldier from Fallujah.
Yep.
And he looks at the overall picture of I don't want to shut the economy and business because statistically I haven't seen anything that is convincing me that look at that moron in California. I mean, when are they going to do the recount so Larry Elder can win and be the governor in California? I think he's shut them down again. And you cannot I think that in New York City, you can't go to certain restaurants unless you have your vaccine passport.
Imagine that.
And I'd be like, hey, I don't need to eat at your restaurant.
By the way, is a mess. New York City, they can tell you all the garbage they want that New York's back.
Yeah.
I talk to traders all the time in New York City. There's an index that they put out. It's normally it tells you like where businesses is. It's 0 to 100, right? 100 means that 100%, back to strength and all that stuff. Historically, New York was at like a 75. It's at a 25 right now. I believe
that, Mike.
A client of mine who owns a construction company down in the city, and he said, Mike, it's so bad with the homeless and the bums and the crimes that we now have to send crews out together. So what do you mean? He said, well, we go into a project and we can't just leave one by one because somebody's going to get mugged. They all have to set up a time, lock up their equipment, and then they all go out together. I'm like, well, who wants to live in that, right?
Well,
that's liberal paradise, right? You were just talking about DeSantis. Everything you just said about him is what the left hates. He loves America. He fought for our freedom. He's an independent, successful person. They hate successful people, right? All that stuff they hate. They hate. They would rather have everybody poor. And they've done that in Venezuela, right? Socialism worked out so well there that they're eating their animals right now.
Do we have another call, Evan? No? Okay. Well, Mike, you know what? You and I discuss this all the time. I mean, the world is getting so crazy. I love, folks, Mike Lomas is a founder of Peak Brokerage Services, the greatest broker dealer on the planet, not just because I work there, but because we are an open architecture. We don't have meetings. Hey, you've got to sell this. We're not limited. I'm on social media. And in Independent Solutions, which is the arm that Mike also helped found, Paul Meeks and our managers on CNBC every week. No one's beating us as far as performances or anything. And they have, access to great things in a private wealth group that you just don't see unless you typically have $10-20 million with some of these outfits.
Yeah. So, Denny, I think you're spot on. We were talking about all the stuff that's going on around us in the world. And sometimes people say, well, you're money managers. Why are you talking about that? You know why? Because it matters.
It does matter. It does matter.
Look at the last financial crisis was started from Bill Clinton and his buddies with the subprime mortgage market. Does everybody remember that? The subprime mortgage market is what collapsed. Bill Clinton created that, right? That was a political thing, right? We went into a raging bull market. Why? Because Ronald Reagan cut regulations. He cut expenses. This stuff matters. In the short term, however, and I do believe there's a difference between managing money in the short term and the long term. And if you look back over the last, let's say, 24 months, and our team, led by Paul Meeks, who was the largest money manager in the world at one point, he managed $9 billion for Merrill Lynch. He says, and John Third, the same thing, chartered financial analyst, we're going to trade up. And what they mean is the market's going to give you opportunities. When COVID hit and then we started to figure out, okay, there's a bottom here somewhere. Who's going to win? Well, it's going to be technology. Does it mean you take all your money and move it to technology? No. It means you make subtle adjustments and maybe overweight in that. As the Communist Party let people go back to going out to dinner and stuff like that, and the open up theme, right? Well, then you trade up. You start to rotate a little bit out of some of these successful technology companies, and you move into things that are going to be opened up and safe and make some money, right? So you make subtle adjustments along the way, including, by the way, always having a well-diversified portfolio that typically isn't 100% stocks. So when you get these pullbacks, you can rebalance and take advantage of it, right?
Well, it's really
diversification and investing.
It's really interesting because I tell you that, the NASDAQ and the S&P hit records. It's trying to breathe, I think, yesterday and today. The labor markets are good. the craziest thing is we don't need extra stimulus. They're printing more money. And honestly, I don't know where the hell all this money is going. I mean, part of it was
it'll go into
infrastructure.
inflation, which we're already seeing.
Well, that's the problem. Yes.
Yeah. Here's the dirty little secret, though, is that you, as an investor, you got to figure that out, right? So what people will do is they'll say, "Oh my gosh, the government's printing all this money. We're going to have inflation. I'm just going to stick it in a bank account and earn zero." Well, I'll tell you this: stocks and bonds typically do pretty well in an inflationary environment. And what I've been telling my clients is, it could be a little bit deceiving. Like, what do you mean? Well, our portfolios might do good, but your need for more money might be greater, right? But at least you're keeping up with it. You know, if you look at what happened over the last 24 months with COVID, if you properly invested, which means you were diversified, you made subtle changes along the way. Like, for instance, when the stock market was going down, you were buying into it. And now that the market's been coming back, you've been rebalancing the other way. You made a lot of money during COVID. COVID should have been a good thing for investors, right? And the people that had money, you know, Denny, our clients that, you know, had 500 and now it's 700,000, they beat inflation, right? The people that are going to get hurt are the very people that the left professes to help. Joe Biden said he was going to help the poor. That's what's going to happen to the poor. They're going to get poorer. But the middle class, the 500,000 goes to 700,000. You go, yeah, you know, milk and cookies are up, but not $200,000. You know, yeah, it's costing a little more money for my gas tank. But so you've got, as an investor, you've just got to be prepared to make the right moves, so you're not the one caught, you know, with your pants down and you're missing opportunities in the investment world.
I like, you know, Paul Meeks. He's on the show, you know, at least once a month, and he certainly has been buying more dividend-paying stocks with upside potential because you know, he thinks inflation, it is real. If you're it's funny you mention it's middle class America that always gets killed, because if you're a struggling middle class business owner, you can't afford to pay Bobby from high school $15 an hour to answer the phone. That's just going to ruin your business. Now, the other thing is, folks, if you have a family and you're only making $15 an hour, maybe you should have gone to school, learn a trade. I don't know. I don't know too many of our friends that are making $15. Now, if you're in high school, I get it. But if you're a middle-aged person and you're making $15 an hour, I don't know what to say to that. I mean, I think
mark this show, Denny. What you're going to see is a divergence between what I'm calling the upper middle class and the lower middle class. Right? The upper middle class is going to have investments. They're going to make more money out of this. The business owners, I know this is going to be really funny. They're smarter than Joe Biden. Now, I know what you're saying. Look at, I've got a Sweeney at home that's probably brighter than Joe Biden. But here's what's going to ultimately happen, right? You business owners are getting it on the chin now because of labor. Oh, you're gonna pay me $1,500 to flip a burger and to take your order.
Yes.
No, we're not. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna switch that to robots, and your jobs are gonna go bye-bye, and you're gonna have less opportunities to advance in other places and meet more people to be greater. Now, the upper middle class just took, again, their 500,000 and made it 800,000, right?
Right.
The upper middle class owns the coffee shop and says, you know what, I don't need to worry about paying you $15 an hour anymore. I've got a robot that'll take the order. Watch and see. All these places will turn into big vending machines.
How much does a robot cost?
Huge vending machines.
Mike, I don't know, man. How much does a robot cost instead of hiring a kid from high school? I got to believe the robot's at least a few $1,000s.
Yeah, but first of all, they're never in sick, right? We never have to worry about them not showing up, and they last a lot longer, right? So yeah, you're going to pay. We'll watch and see. In fact,
Mike's already got this figured out. You see this?
Yeah, here's where it's going. He's
going to be a slum robot lord.
By the way.
Oh yeah.
Liberal paradise. The first 100% robotic McDonald's is up. It's coming, folks.
Really?
It's going to come absolutely. And guess who's going to make more money out of it? Guys like you and I that go, you know what? I will open up a fast food place now because I don't need to hire anybody. Right?
Maybe they'll have robotic DJs
not showing up at 9 o'clock.
Well, they have that car place.
All kinds of opportunities.
What car place?
Carvana.
What? They have a robot at Carvana?
Yeah, Carvana's it's all robotic.
Oh,
all the cars are stacked.
Well,
yeah, it's literally. Seriously. It's just about run by robots.
You know, I really do learn something every day. So what do you come on, robots at the car dealership?
Yeah, there's a place called Carvana where you buy a car, you buy it online, and they showed the picture of where they keep the cars, and they're all stacked, and it's like this big,
and that's how it is.
Thing that it goes in and gets the car, it comes out, gets put on a truck, and delivered to you.
Oh my goodness!
How about this? Domino's has just come out with the first self-driving delivery car.
Yes, I saw the commercials for that. That's amazing.
So, okay, you want
I think people be ripping them off.
$15 an hour to drop off a pizza?
Yeah,
forget it. I'll just come up with my own car.
But
here's the thing: the folks that are listening to this, that are proactive, and that have money, they're going to make. Do you think Domino's is going to make more money because they don't have to pay a driver now that's not showing up? Of course, they're going to figure that out.
Well, it depends on how much the car costs. I don't know.
Yeah, well, they're going to figure it out. Business owners are smart, right? That's why I always thought here's the thing: when a Biden gets into office, and we always see this, oh my gosh, he's going to ruin the stock market. Not necessarily. He might ruin the poor. He might make more people poor. But that doesn't mean that Apple's not going to figure this out, right?
It doesn't
mean that a publicly traded company is not going to figure
Mike,
out
you just inspired producer Evan
I have a good one to tell you. Over in Tradition, over in town of Tradition, they have a shuttle. It's driverless. There's a driverless shuttle that'll take you from over in Tradition over to the shopping plaza across the road. There's no driver in the damn thing.
Nothing.
None.
Okay.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well, look.
It's going to continue, folks. So you just got to be prepared for it. We're investment managers. Our job is to make clients money over time and do it with a diversified approach and based on their tolerance for risk. There's going to be all kinds of, there's going to be more money to be made than ever before because you will see these technology breakthrough because of them being forced to do so, right?
Yeah.
Mark my word. McDonald's will be 100% automated within 5 years.
Interestingly enough, Evan asked me, hey, how's business? And I said, hey, we're crushing it. I mean, we did good last year. This year's good. People need help with their investments. Yep. And now more than ever. Now, I'll tell you, besides inflation, though, I am really concerned also that we may get into some other kind of war because the border is so out of control now. And now we have Afghanistan that it looks like it's going to be a harboring ground for Al-Qaeda and all the other lunatics like ISIS that are out there. If we're not there to stop them from doing so. So between the border being wide open, I'm really concerned that we're going to be involved in something that's going to cost us more lives and money. That, Mike, might affect the market in the next few years more so. Well, inflation's not going away. Do you think inflation's a temporary thing? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think there's a possibility that it sort of plateaus itself because the number one problem with inflation has been wage inflation. Right?
Wage, right.
You guys have a governor with a brain in there that has rejected the money to say, I don't want these people to stay at home anymore. We need them in the workforce. The problem is when you're looking across the country, there's places like New York that have said, continue to stay at home, continue to stay at home.
Yeah.
There's every fast food restaurant around here has now, there's no dine-in anymore. It's just drive-through. And every one of them has a sign on there that says, because of incompetent government, we can't find people to hire. But in the state of New York, these people are still getting paid $900 a week to stay at home. Why would they go to work?
Mike,
right?
Are you telling me that they're still collecting unemployment in New York? Really?
Well, not only are they collecting unemployment, Denny, they're collecting extra. They still get the bonus, right? See, DeSantis said, no more bonuses. We don't want your federal money. You keep it. In the state of New York, they said, we'll take it. But to your point about war and to your point about the open borders, listen, safety is absolutely 100% the most important thing when it comes to economic activity. There is not an unsafe place in this country that is great to do business, right? And I'll use New York as an example. I'm here in Buffalo, New York. Lots of pretty places in Buffalo, New York. The suburbs are beautiful. In fact, most of the city of Buffalo is beautiful, and it's been refurbished and rebuilt, and it's really a very pretty small city, right? The east side of Buffalo, however, is a war zone. It's full of crackheads, and you can get property for free there, right? So I paid $2 million for my financial business, or my financial building that's 30,000 square foot. It's in Williamsville, New York, which is outside of Buffalo, right? It's away from the east side. And you, if you were just a pure numbers guy, you'd say, Mike, come on, man. You could have bought that building on the east side for $100,000. Why didn't you do it? Why would you spend $2 million instead of $100,000? Well, it's because it's not safe, right? And so safety is key no matter where we are. And I'll tell you what, any kind of a terrorist attack, 9/11 brought the stock markets down, right? I don't think you invest like that anticipating it, but you've certainly got to keep that in the back of our mind. Look, there's nobody with a brain in their head that thinks what he's doing down the border is a good idea. Nobody with a brain in their head. Hey, come on in.
But besides,
oh, you don't like immigrants? No, I like legal immigrants, not illegal immigrants, right? 90% of the drugs in this country comes through that lower border. It's a problem, right? Our kids are dying all over this country because of drug overdoses. Are we going to stop it all? I'll tell you what, we can stop a big chunk of it if we know 90% of it is coming through that border, and we can stop a big part of that, right? But we don't, and he doesn't. So to your point, absolutely, it's got to be a check mark that we've got to be very careful of because it is making us less safe. No doubt about it.
They're actually looking at legislation that he has violated a federal law by not making people stay in Mexico until they're vetted instead of just letting them come over. And a lot of them apparently have COVID. And so but Mike, besides the border, like I say, it's been said that people from Afghanistan are now coming through the border as well. And as we see, I mean, my goodness, the guy said that, we didn't think it would be this quick. 6 days they took over the country. He said his intel said it would be 6 to 9 months. So the only reason one of the reasons I'm scratching my head, it was like, all right, so let me get this straight, Billy Bob. You decided to remove the military and then deal with the people left behind, and you were leaving it to the Taliban. Am I hearing that correct?
There has been nothing more foolish that I've seen. We've seen a lot of dumb things from liberal Democrats and Republicans as well too.
Yeah. Believe me, there's Republicans have their issues too. But my whole point, Mike, I think that's going to be my biggest fear as an advisor, and I'm talking to clients, that yes, security will be an issue because if we have another attack or something crazy, we've just made it easier for them to do so. It's going to screech halt the economy. Investor sentiment will start hiding, and they're going to want to put their money elsewhere.
To your point, the safety over there is key, and the dismantling of that was. Look, this is as simple as it could have been. Okay, you want to take our people out of there. First of all, you leave the troops there.
Yes.
And you tell the Taliban, if one of our tanks gets scratched, forget about blown up. If there's a scratch on one of our Americans, if there's a bruise on one of our Americans or a scratch on one of our tanks, we're going to send America's finest Air Force people over there and blow your caves into crumbled cookies. And you know why they didn't mess with Trump? Because they believed he would right?
Yeah.
And instead you've got Joe Biden going, I think we're going to get everybody out by Saturday, and they probably won't take over anything for a few months, but we're leaving.
God.
And then you leave civilians there. You just leave people that have helped us there. To your point about harboring terrorists, think about it. There's thousands and thousands of people over there, Afghanis that have helped us. And now the Taliban is telling them, we're going to kill you or you're going to come onto our side. And oh, by the way, the Americans just left you here to die.
No, they're not even, they're just killing them, Mike. I think they're knocking door to door and beheading them.
For sure. And my favorite is these Democrats, like, well, the Taliban are pretty good. There was a CNN anchor on the other day. I mean, what a moron. They're chanting death to America. And she goes, well, they seem pretty friendly. Really? Really? What's friendly about wanting to death to America? What part of that is friendly?
You're putting me on. You did not hear this on the TV that they said that after they.
Oh yeah. I'll send you the video. Sure, you gotta like this on Facebook.
People wonder why I don't watch it. Yeah, I don't know, Mike. Well, you know
These
what?
These are the same people, Denny. Though that when Minnesota was on fire, CNN anchor said it's fiery but peaceful. Really, the city's on fire and that's peaceful? Like that's. I mean, wow. Holy cow.
So what do you think, Mike? You think DeSantis is going to run for president?
I don't know. I would, my guess would be yes, only if Trump is not running for president. If Trump goes back and does another round, I would not be surprised if we see him as vice president. So, which would be a heck of a ticket. I hate to lose him down there, though.
It's hard to say. I mean, he's a smart guy, DeSantis. So that part of me says that he won't run because he's smart, because he doesn't want. That's a thankless job. Come on, think about it.
Well, it's all
it
thankless,
is a
right?
thankless job.
So You got to have stones. He's got the stones, though.
He does have the stones.
I love it. Every Republican in the world should watch what he's doing. And say, President Trump, I said this for years. Why did he win? He won because he was the first Republican that had a backbone. What did it for me was when the TV anchor was calling him out about anchor babies. He said, anchor babies. And she said, you can't call them that. He goes, really? What should I call them? And she went through this list of possible options. And he said, you know what? I think I'm going to call them anchor babies. And it was like, yeah, he's not backing down, right? And then he wins, and the Republican Party can't figure that out. They're still negotiating, right? They're still, it's amazing. In the city of Buffalo, you love this. So the city of Buffalo, the Democrat primary for mayor, a socialist won, a self-proclaimed socialist, defund the police, right? So now they're starting a write-in campaign for the existing mayor, who's like I don't want to say a moderate Democrat. He's been a useless suit for 30 whatever years he's been in there, right? So now all the Republicans are saying we need to help him out to try to win because we can't have a self-proclaimed socialist. And we're all left. We're thinking, wait a minute, do you honestly believe that the existing Democrat mayor would help any Republican? If we were on fire, he would throw more gasoline on. Like, he's not going to help anybody. Why are we helping them? Like, let them have what they want.
Mike, you really shouldn't hold back. I want to know what you're really thinking, okay?
all plays into money management,
more
folks.
fire.
So people say money doesn't meet politics. It absolutely does. In the long term and in the short term. Gotta understand this.
Hey, Mike, a lot of people don't think we're staring in the abyss. We are in the abyss. So, but listen, all my listeners out there, you are absolutely free to call in and let us know that, the socialist liberal way is the better way. I want to hear it. I always say that this show is about different topics. We don't always talk politics, but when my buddy Mike Lomas gets on here, it's hard to keep it out because we manage money for a living, and I think it's closely tied. And a lot of the things that we're talking about does affect the stock market, does affect our economy. It affects business. It all kind of ties in, even to this health crisis of COVID. I mean, my God, is there going to be a day when we can say, hey, remember when COVID was around? It's just 2 years now.
I don't know that.
I don't know that either.
2 years ago, I would have said no way. But I've never seen, and again, this comes back to compromising, right?
Yes.
How many of us conservatives around the country don't believe in forcing people to wear face diapers, but yet we still strap it on and go into the store, So we've got to, we've got to fight back, and we don't.
Well, my friend, like I said, I love Glenn and I have a meeting today with this tax marketing because obviously we're partnering up with more professionals, business owners, and I'm looking forward to it. Let me know when you're back in when I saw you last week, I'm like, hey, I didn't know you were in town. You just come in for 2 or 3 days and then you're gone.
You guys were talking about fall, and I'm like, see, up here in Western New York, some of us are like, oh my gosh, that means winter's coming. And down in South Florida, you're like, oh my gosh, winter's coming. This is great. And,
we can wear shorts.
I'll be down there quite a bit. I'll be down there at least once a month for a week over the next. Until it warms back up here, which is like May.
If your kids were done with school, you'd be here more often. But you've got the business and everything up there, so I don't know.
Very blessed, very blessed, and of course we've got the greatest football team in the country this year, which is going to be good to see. So
what are you predicting? The Bills? You think the Bills are going to go all the way and meet KC in the championship game?
I do. I think they're. Of course, I do.
That's probably a good call.
Even when they were 2 and whatever the year before, I still. When you grow up in Buffalo and you're born, they come out of the womb and you're like, okay, you're a Bills and a Sabres fan. Hockey is huge up here, and so we've had some bad runs for the last.
I think it's going to be a while before my Giants are a relative team again. I don't see it happening anytime soon. So, Mike, always a pleasure, my friend. We'll be talking soon. And Mike Lomas from the Financial Guys, part of the Peak and Independent Solutions, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for having me on, bud.
All right, buddy. We'll take another brief pause here and come back on Today with Denny. All right, we are back for wrapping up the show. You know, I was laughing before because I heard a commercial that if you these attorneys will sue you for anything. So they're saying if you bought this certain earplug that you have a right to compensation. Mm-hmm. So have you heard of this, that earplugs like are dangerous?
Listen, let me tell you, attorneys nowadays, the ones that work on contingency basis, they will find, and I'm not bashing attorneys because there's a lot of great attorneys out there. But there's some attorneys that'll just find any reason to sue for any reason.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
They work on contingency.
Have you eaten cold cuts from Publix and developed cancer? You could be compensated.
Yeah.
Earplugs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. So, you know, last night I was a featured artist at this jam, and man, I got to tell you, we could try and see if we're going to try and get a great guest on the show. We haven't heard from him in a while. I'm starting to be concerned of what's going on with him. I don't want to say his name. He might be listening, so I want to surprise him. And he too is like Lomas. He doesn't like to hold back his opinion. So he's always a good. Is it ringing? Let's see if he picks up. Is it him?
Charlie. Hey, good. Denny would like to have you on the air. Is that okay with you?
He's asking permission.
All right. Hold on.
Charlie, are you there?
All right, there you go. Go ahead.
Hello, Charlie. Are you there?
Yeah, what's up, Denny?
Dude, where have you been, man? Where have you been?
Well,
we were worried about you.
Yeah, I actually been monitoring you guys somewhat.
Oh, monitor.
I'm glad you called me because I actually had Denny's personal phone number.
You had what?
I have Denny's personal phone number.
Yes, you should. You should anytime, Charlie. So listen, I also told you that I would have you as a guest on the show. You promised not to bring any weapons or anything like that, right?
Yeah, I would leave my weapons alone. The problem is, though, guys, that I don't like being in buildings.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he doesn't like to. Yeah, he doesn't like being inside.
Well, we do sanitize the station.
Yeah, the station we do sanitize the complete studio.
And I promise I won't swear if I did it.
Okay.
You won't swear? Okay.
No, I swear that I won't swear.
Okay. Will you come in next Thursday?
Next Thursday. Let me.
I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. Listen, I would have Charlie come in next Thursday. Hey, but listen, Charlie, you know, you're a Vietnam veteran. You love your country.
I'm actually going to a reunion in October.
For vets?
Mission oil paintings.
Okay.
The Eagles. They're very pretty.
So how
let me see. Next Thursday, let me take a look at my paper calendar here.
He's a socialite. Busy. He's a busy guy.
I have
get it on the calendar.
All seniors have doctor's appointments.
I don't remember if Charlie's married. Are you married, Charlie?
Yeah. Number 3 is right in front of me.
Number 3.
Third time.
Yeah. 3 is my lucky number.
Him and I together.
Wait,
Charlie and I.
So
third time.
You're talking September 2nd or that's what you're talking about.
Whatever a week from today is. I got to look at my phone.
You're confusing me now.
Well, that's good for radio.
Today's the 26th, so it would
2nd.
be September
2nd. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so Denny.
And you know where the station is, right?
Yeah, on the south side of the Roosevelt Bridge.
You got it.
First floor, that's right.
I used to live in North River Shores when I was living fancy. Fancy like.
Yeah, but you got all that money from your investments. You tell me you're not living fancy?
Oh, I'm big time. I can see this through the roof, guys. I turned over everything to my advisor because emotion.
I thought you were going to fire him and hire me.
Yeah, you need to hire Denny.
No, I just signed a contract to do windows on my buddy's house up in Connecticut. So, but you have too much money. You're married to a young woman.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
I'm not married.
Denny's single as a mingle.
I'm single. That's right, man.
Oh, I thought you were married.
No, I'm the married one.
Well,
yeah,
Evan's in you anyway.
Evan's married with like 10
4
children
kids.
and stuff.
Yeah. Right, Evan is right. Evan.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I get confused who I'm talking to because I can't see you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so you
next
can make
Thursday,
it. You can make it next Thursday.
Next Thursday. Let me make sure I have Denny's number.
I mean, if you want, we'll send a limo for you too. I mean, why not? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
sorry.
What? No helicopter?
I should be spending your
No,
money.
I don't think I'd like a limo.
No helicopter.
I mean, I like the driver, so
you drive yourself. Yeah,
I have Denny's number someplace.
All right. So you're on the schedule.
I'll probably show up. So what time should I show up?
I mean, we start at like 9:05. So if you're here,
8:45.
come like 8:45.
8:45.
We'll talk a little.
Put them in
Do
the
you have a
green
green room?
Yeah,
Yes,
we have
we
a green
do.
room. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. We don't have a butler though.
There coffee and danishes and stuff like that.
I'll bring.
I like dark chocolate, but I'll bring my own. Okay. All right. Very good.
All right. Looking forward to it, Charlie.
This is all free, right? I don't get paid.
Right.
It's just okay.
Yep.
I have new buddies.
Yeah, but I'm gonna film you. You can show it to your buddies. You can say that.
I'll teach you guys how to do a PLF, Parachute Landing.
Oh, okay.
It's been a while for me.
We'll jump off the chairs. We used to do it off the 3-foot platforms.
Listen, when I jumped out of planes, I was
trust yourself.
I used to be a lot younger and lighter when I jumped out of planes in the Army. So
I'm 135 pounds of meanness.
Oh my God!
But I'm under control.
All right.
All
Ladies
right,
and gentlemen, Palm City Charlie on next Thursday's show,
this
live
is
in
like
the
a
studio.
Big deal.
It is a big deal.
I'll sign autographs. Okay,
All right, no problem.
All right, it
We'll
sounds
have
good.
security here. We'll have Secret Service.
All right, Charlie. We'll see you then. All right.
All right. Well, there you go.
There you go. The one and only. You've never met him, have you?
I've never met the man.
Okay, so it is going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
So he doesn't hold back either, like my friend Mike Lomas.
I better activate the 7-second delay.
Hey, you know what
here.
I should do? I should, you know how he hates Bitcoin and all that crap? I should have my buddy Chuck Johnson on.
Oh, yeah.
So they can go at it back and forth.
Geez.
He thinks, I don't know, it could be. He thinks that it's all manipulated. It's not. I mean, I'm just too conservative to really recommend that to my clients. I mean, the difference that I do is I think gold and silver is a good hedge because you can go to a cave anywhere and, use gold to buy something.
Mm-hmm.
But I would buy the actual minerals instead of, the paper that says Vinny Boombats and Associates has your gold because that's not going to work. So, I hope that our economy continues. I really hope and pray that everyone gets out of Afghanistan, Americans. I feel so bad for those who helped us and are no longer there. I don't necessarily disagree with President Biden wanting to leave Afghanistan. It's just a question of how it was done that I thought could have been better thought out. Let's just say it like that. I don't like wars that never end. But at the same time, I think keeping a couple thousand troops there was not the worst thing in the world to do. So, folks, thanks for listening in. You're always free to call in. Enjoy your day. Have a great weekend. And Bonnie and Evan will be on tomorrow at 6 o'clock. You hit, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't know how you do it, brother.
It's called enjoying what you do.
Okay. So make it a great day. Thanks for tuning in today with Denny.